Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Greater Cleveland Peace Officers Memorial Society, I would like to welcome you to what is always a wonderful occasion. I'd like to welcome all survivors of those officers whose names are on our memorial, all law enforcement and correctional officers, the Honorable Frank Jackson, Mayor of the City of Cleveland, Cuyahoga County Sheriff Frank Bova, distinguished guests, sponsors and supporters, and all citizens who represent our greater Cleveland communities. My name is Russ Mitchell. I'm with WKYC here in Cleveland, and I am honored to be with you today as we keep the promise and our pledge to never forget. For the past 29 years, this service has been dedicated to honoring and remembering all officers whose names are engraved on those black granite pillars. Honoring and remembering their lives and how they touched ours. Honoring and remembering their commitment and their strengths. Honoring and remembering their duty and dedication. We celebrate these lives given in service to the communities, citizens, and families these dedicated officers loved. We have been very blessed that since our commemoration last year, that we have not had to add any new names on that wall. Let us now stand and honor our survivors as they are escorted into the park.
Order, arms! Parade, rest!
Please be seated. Our purpose on this day is to honor those officers who have given their lives to protect our safety in the greater Cleveland area, the entire United States, and our neighbors in Canada. We, of course, cannot repay them for making the ultimate sacrifice, but we can keep the promise to honor their memory, not only in words, but in actions that do justice to their lives and to the great loss their families and loved ones have suffered. They are truly the heroes who love their families, their communities, and their country. We embrace those left behind who continue that painful journey without them. With words of wisdom and welcome for us this morning, the president of the Greater Cleveland Peace Officer Memorial Society and executive director of the Cleveland Police Foundation, Charles W. Lane, Jr. will say a few words. Chaz.
On behalf of the law enforcement community of Northeast Ohio and our outstanding Corps of Volunteers in the Memorial Society, we welcome you to Cleveland. We also especially want to welcome our many friends from Canada. We have visitors in town from Luxembourg, Japan, and Australia, England, and many other countries which I'm maybe not aware of. A few years ago, we decided to use commemoration in lieu of celebration in titling our event. It was thought that that might sound more reverent to the average person. However, this still is a celebration. As we join together in kinship that exists in the law enforcement community, while we honor the memory of those brave officers who made the ultimate sacrifice. As was mentioned, today, for the first time in many years, we are not adding any more names to our memorial. And only one officer from the state of Ohio died in the line of duty in 2013. However, that's one too many, and when you add the many officers from throughout the United States and Canada who made the ultimate sacrifice, it serves as a poignant reminder of the dangers our men and women face daily. We're here today in keeping with the promise made to our fellow officers, their family members, their co-workers, that we will not forget the dedication to their oath that they swore and the ultimate sacrifice made in the line of duty. Several years ago, a fellow approached me after our memorial service, and he expressed his appreciation for what we all do here. His name was John Goggin. He said he was 4 years old when his father, Cleveland patrolman James Goggin, was shot and killed in the line of duty in 1939. He said that after his father was killed, the officers from the 11th precinct where his father was assigned would come by and check on the family, and at Christmas time brought gifts. But as the officers retired and maybe transferred out, they stopped coming. He said he understood, and he wasn't bitter at all, but he said he was fearful that his father's loss would be forgotten. I couldn't help but wonder how he must have felt as he grew into adulthood, possibly thinking his father's sacrifice might be forgotten. There were no police memorials back then to speak of. Certainly there wasn't the great death benefits. World War II was on the horizon, and his mother and 3 siblings had to live on. He closed with saying that it meant a great deal to him that there is a public memorial that remembers his father. His son happened to call me a couple months ago because he wanted to renew his membership in the Memorial Society. And in the conversation, as mentioned, his father died a couple of years ago. I call your attention, excuse me. One of the things that he commented on was how important it was that his father would not be forgotten. And how important it was that his grandfather would be forever remembered on this memorial. I call your attention to the headstones over here to my left at the approach of the memorial. The markers and the flags that adorn them were placed on the graves of the 185 officers from our region who died in the line of duty, and 2 others that were killed outside our region but are buried here at home. During the research for that project, it was learned that 8 of the officers had no headstones. Undaunted, our grave marker committee volunteers jumped in to raise funds to help cover the costs of the memorial, of the markers and the stones. And with the help of Milano Monuments and the cemeteries where they're buried, their places of final rest are now marked with a permanent stone. Those who serve in the law enforcement community and corrections are a very dedicated lot. We belong to a special community that deals with all the ills and tragedies that society has to offer. Our family members are also a very special part of that community. Not only do they deal with the shift work, the lousy hours, the lousy pay, missed holidays, they also have to live with the fear that their loved one's safety every time they go out the door. You may have heard the saying, never say never and never say always, as you may eat those words. I think there are exceptions. We should always remember the golden rule and never forget our fallen officers. We owe it to them, and we owe it to John Goggin. Thanks for being here today. Bye.
As we recognize and honor those who have sacrificed their life in the service of our communities. I want to have a special recognition and thanks to the survivors, those who have lost their loved ones and whose loved ones have been lost in the line of duty here in the city of Cleveland, throughout this country. You know, we really appreciate you and we honor you, and we want you to know that you will not be forgotten, and neither will your family members.
Thank you, Mayor Jackson. With additional words of welcome, I'd like to bring up to the podium now Cuyahoga County Sheriff Frank Bova. Sheriff.
Good morning. On behalf of our County Executive, Ed Fitzgerald, we welcome all survivors, law enforcement partners, and dignitaries. We are here on this 29th anniversary to honor the men and women who have given the ultimate sacrifice. We, as fellow officers within Cuyahoga County, the state of Ohio, United States of America, and other countries, honor our commitment to never forget the sacrifice of our fallen comrades. In our society, we are the line that separates anarchy from peace. As we put on our uniforms daily, protecting our societies, never forget to look skyward and thank the men and women who walked the same path and gave the ultimate sacrifice, not only on this day, but all days. Again, thank you for standing together today as we hold true to our word that we will never forget.
Our guest speaker today is Holly McTarian, the surviving spouse of police officer Joshua T. McTarian, Twinsburg Police Department. End of watch, July 13th, 2008. She's being escorted by Chief Christopher Noga of the Twinsburg Police Department. Please welcome Holly McTarian.
Apparently my daughter Thea wanted to join us too. Say hello. Good morning, everyone. I'm beyond honored to have been asked to speak here this morning at this annual event, this very important annual event. I am here today because my husband gave the ultimate sacrifice on July 13th, 2008. Twinsburg Canine Officer Josh McTarian was killed by a monster who had no respect for police officers, let alone human life. Sadly, a lot of the officers whose names are engraved behind me died from similar circumstances. If not by gunfire, then by other circumstances that could have easily been avoided had someone directly involved had respect for police officers and human life. Along with these officers that we are here to honor are the loved ones left behind, the brothers and sisters in blue left behind, and the communities left behind. Do we ever really stop hurting from the holes in our hearts from these tragedies? I don't think we do. We just learn to deal with it. I never wanted the title of widow, but really, who does? I'm still mad at that monster that took away my fairy tale life at that time. I found someone and fell in love, we got married, and here we were with a beautiful baby girl. Our worlds definitely changed when our daughter was born, and Josh and I were both head over heels in love with this little girl we call Thea. All of a sudden, everything changed. Josh was violently taken from us. I don't remember months 4 and 5 of my daughter's life because I was in a fog of sorts from grief. So not only is my husband gone, but my new husband of less than 3 years, but now I don't remember some of my most precious moments with my daughter. I'll never get Josh back, nor those precious moments of my daughter's life. My daughter Thea knew her daddy as a baby. If she heard his voice, she tried to look for him. He loved that. Thea has his big Armenian eyes, and she has the ability to make a lot of friends just like he had. In fact, I used to tell Josh, I swear we could go to the other side of the world and you would know someone. And he would just laugh. Just the other day, Thea and I were out to eat, and sure enough, someone knew Thea, and it was deja vu all over again. I am so incredibly thankful to have met Josh. What I'm not thankful for is the scum who took my Josh away. I was forced to join this club of Cleveland surviving family members. It's a club no one wants to be a part of. But this club of survivors took my daughter and I in, our families too, and took us under their wing and nurtured us. It will be 6 years this July, and that nurturing has helped us get this far. If I'm not mistaken, it was Grace Leon who showed up first at my home that first week. I remember thinking, I don't know this woman. Why is she here right now? But I politely listened to her as well as I could. It wasn't until much later, when the fog had lifted, that I appreciated her presence that day. And I slowly met others in this club. This club is far too big as far as I'm concerned. Tracy Johnson, Erica Owens, and Trish Sindelar, just to name a few, have been my friend these last couple years. Every so often, the ladies and I, we get together for lunch, and we complain about what widows complain about. And I know what you're thinking. Women don't complain. But we do sometimes. These lunches, they leave us feeling like a weight has been lifted off our shoulders. And I appreciate those lunches and those friendships so much. Trish Sindelar and her daughter Kaylee have traveled with Thea and I on a couple occasions. I am thankful for the friendships Thea and Kaylee have, because it is important for Thea and Kaylee to have a friend going through the same thing, even if what they complain about is whose turn it is on the iPad. The Greater Cleveland Peace Officer Memorial Society's motto is to make the promise to never forget. We are here today to promise to never forget the ultimate sacrifice each and every one of these officers have made. I try to talk about the promise in every speech I do, because essentially that is what we need to do. As I lowered my flag in my front yard yesterday morning in honor of Police Officers Memorial Day, I hope that many others would do the same. I attended the Cleveland Police Badge Case ceremony yesterday, and driving from Talmadge, I did notice flags lowered for the day. I was so proud. Proud because that means there are people who don't disregard the sacrifice my husband and the other amazing officers engraved on these walls made. I would like to close my speech by remembering a couple officers from Ohio whose end of watch date anniversaries are on this date, May 16th. Patrolman William Freed from Youngstown PD, who died on this date in 1891 from gunfire. And Patrolman Herman A. Drexler from Dayton PD, who died on this date in 1947, also from gunfire. Let's promise to never forget our fallen. Thank you.
Thank you, Holly. Thank you, Thea. The gift of flowers at a memorial site is a ritual that occurs around the world and really understood in every culture. The floral tributes at funerals bespeak both the beauty and the brevity of life and evoke memories of other days. A wreath symbolizes eternal love. It is a circle that has no beginning and no end. In ancient times, the Greeks and Romans crowned heroes with wreaths or laurel leaves. Today, Linda Trace, surviving spouse of Patrolman Joseph Trace, Cleveland Division of Police, end of watch, September 28, 1970, will be escorted by Lieutenant James O'Malley, Cleveland Division of Police, and Sergeant Stephen Sadler, Toronto, Canada, Police Service, on behalf of all Canadian officers and survivors. They will help us crown our heroes with the presentation of a wreath of flowers that symbolizes our eternal love for the beautiful lives lost and gratitude for the brief time we had together.
Detail. Attention. Present arms.
Lord, as we stand here today at this memorial, we remember and honor our lost loved ones. We know that there are so many others with stories quite the same, and so many here sharing our same pain. As we gather together and remember the day our lives changed forever, we ask you to be with us this day and always, during the good times and the bad. carrying us when we need a lift and helping us to never feel like we are alone. We thank you for all the memories, the love, and the life that we shared together, and knowing that you only take the very best for Heaven's special police force. As they walk Heaven's beat with you, we gain comfort in knowing that they rest in your loving embrace, and that life never ends because love never dies. Thank you for the support of all those around us and for giving us courage and strength to live our lives to the fullest in honor of our fallen.
We began our memorial service tribute at sunrise this morning by reciting the names of all officers across the United States and Canada who were lost in 2013. Forgive me, Grace, thank you so much for reading that prayer. We then continued the tribute by reciting the names of all those officers whose names have been inscribed on our memorial over the past 29 years. As we gathered early this morning and now here at our service to pay honor to all those who have paid the ultimate price, we should not dwell in the manner in which they died, but rather in the manner in which they lived. Life is a journey we all share in some way. Their journey has ended in this life, creating a void in ours. But we gain comfort in knowing how much your life has impacted so many of us. We thank you, honor your life and your sacrifice. Now please join me in a moment of silence for our fallen heroes. On behalf of the Greater Cleveland Peace Officers Memorial Society and the entire law enforcement community, we thank you for your continued support and your attendance today. We pray for your safety. And until we meet again, this time next year, in honor of our fallen. As the massed bands play, we ask that our survivors, sponsors, and their invited guests immediately make their way to the tents where a catered luncheon has been prepared for you on behalf of the Memorial Service Committee, Chick-fil-A, and Sam's Club of Brooklyn, Ohio. Once you've had the opportunity to enjoy your lunch, please feel free to remain in the park for as long as you like. I want to thank you for inviting me here today. I leave here today humbled, very thankful to your loved ones who made the ultimate sacrifice, and thankful to all the men and women here who protect and serve us every day. The Cleveland FOP would like to invite all parade participants to their lodge hall at East 23rd and Payne Avenue for a light lunch. Once again, thank you very much.
Details! Attention! Dismissed!